Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, nestled amid snowy mountains and lush green valleys, there lived a young princess named Snow White. Her beauty was unparalleled. Her skin was as white as freshly fallen snow, her lips as red as the ripest cherries, and her hair as black as the purest ebony. But Snow White's beauty was not just skin deep. Her kindness and gentle heart endeared her to everyone who met her. Yet, her life was anything but easy. Snow White's stepmother, the queen, was a woman consumed by vanity and pride. Every day she would stand before her enchanted mirror and demand, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" For years, the mirror's answer pleased her. But one fateful day, it spoke the words she feared most. Snow White is the fairest of them all. The queen's jealousy knew no bounds. She devised a wicked plan and summoned the royal huntsman to her chambers. With a cold, commanding voice, she ordered him to take Snow White deep into the forest and ensure she would never return. The huntsman, though loyal to the queen, was a man of conscience. As he led Snow White into the dense, magical woods, he struggled with his task. Finally, he could bear it no longer. Falling to his knees, he confessed his orders to Snow White. "Run," he urged her. "Run and never come back." With tears streaming down her face, Snow White fled into the forest, her heart pounding with fear. For hours, she wandered through the dark, enchanted woods, her path lit only by the moon and stars. The forest seemed alive, with glowing mushrooms and twinkling fireflies guiding her way. Eventually, she stumbled upon a small, cozy cottage tucked away in the heart of the forest. Intrigued, she knocked on the door. When no one answered, she stepped inside. The cottage was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was charmingly small, with 7 tiny beds neatly lined up and a table set for 7. Exhausted, Snow White tidied up the little home before curling up on one of the beds and drifting into a deep sleep. The owners of the cottage, 7 dwarfs who worked tirelessly in a nearby diamond mine, returned home that evening. They were surprised to find Snow White asleep in their home. When she awoke, she told them her story. The dwarfs, moved by her plight, welcomed her with open arms. Snow White quickly became a beloved member of their little household. She cooked, cleaned, and filled the cottage with joy and laughter. Her songs brought the forest to life, and even the animals would gather to listen. But far away in the castle, the queen's enchanted mirror revealed that Snow White was still alive. Consumed by rage, the queen disguised herself as an old peddler woman and set out to find Snow White. Carrying a basket of shiny red apples, she arrived at the dwarf's cottage. Snow White, ever kind and trusting, welcomed the old woman and accepted an apple from her basket. But as soon as she took a bite, she fell into a deep, magical slumber. When the dwarfs returned home and found Snow White unconscious, they were heartbroken. Unable to wake her, they placed her in a glass coffin adorned with flowers and set it in a serene clearing in the forest. Days turned into weeks, and the dwarfs kept vigil by her side, hoping for a miracle. One day, a prince traveling through the forest came upon the clearing. He was struck by Snow White's beauty and the sorrowful scene before him. Kneeling by her side, he gently kissed her. At that moment, the spell was broken, and Snow White opened her eyes. The prince declared his love for Snow White and asked her to return with him to his kingdom. The dwarfs, though sad to see her go, were overjoyed that she was alive and happy. Together, Snow White and the prince rode off toward his castle, where they lived happily ever after, their love a beacon of hope and joy for all who knew their story. And so, the tale of Snow White reminds us that kindness, courage, and love will always triumph over jealousy and cruelty.